Welcome back everyone to Gran Turismo 7, and today we are doing something that I promised you guys I would do, and that is the Formula Car Shootout. So we've got 4 contestants, one of which you're seeing right in front of you. This is the Super Formula SF19, kind of styled in a classic Sauber Alfa Romeo livery from the era. I think this is 2021's livery. This is Antonio Giovinazzi, his car. So nice look at the interior here. This will be the first car that we'll be testing today. I've got a couple of cars we're going to be testing. We've got 4 contestants today. The SF19, the SF23. As you can see here, mine has got the Haas livery on it. We've also got the F-1500TA, which is styled after, I believe, the Polyphony 686M or 686S, whichever one from the Gran Turismo 3 days, the NTSC Gran Turismo 3, and then finally the F-3500A, the latest and greatest edition, and in my opinion, my personal favorite. We've got the Jordan 199 livery on the car. So we're going to start off with, without going from oldest to newest, we're going to start with the Super Formulas, as they tend to be the slower top speed of the bunch, but are the closest to real F1. So as far as track, we're going to pick a track that I know fairly well, but that I feel like will also be beneficial for the cars, and that is going to be... Alright, so we are playing in VR. For those who aren't aware, I do most of my stuff in VR in this game. We're going to give this thing a couple laps. We're going to see what this thing can do and where it'll stack up on the leaderboard in comparison to its more modern and older counterparts. Alright, so heading into the chicane here at the bottom of the main straight. Gonna be hard on the brakes. Probably braked a tad early. It's been a very long time since I've driven an SF19 actually. When I did some esports stuff in 2022, this was our car of choice. So I do have a substantial amount of seat time in these cars. It's just been a rather large amount of time since I've last driven one. Alright, that lap was not my best. Let's try again and see if we can get a better lap in. Alright, I'm gonna brake a little later. Still probably a touch too early. Ooh, a little bit of too much grass there on that front right. Alright, here we go. Much better this go around. I botched that corner up on the last lap, which is why we're even doing a second lap in the first place. And I botched it up here too, so I'm going to see if I can clean this one up as well. A little too much throttle there in first gear, but it's okay. I'm going to bump it down in a second, introduce the throttle ever so slightly as we head into the final couple corners. Probably didn't have to let off quite so much, but a 124.6, not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Where does that line up on the original leaderboard, which I've done laps here in the SF2019 before? Where does that line up at? It's actually quite a bit off the fastest lap I've ever done. But I'm going to leave that there for now, and I'll delete it later. So let's go ahead and bump up to the SF23. A little bit more downforce, lower revving, a tiny bit slower. And you guys have seen me drive this one before with the Haas livery, the Haas livery. So I definitely had to let off there a little bit. It hated that. Alright, let's see if we can put down a faster lap in this car than we did in the SF19. I think part of it is I'm braking so early here. But nailed it that time. Dang, I'm gonna go flat out through here. I don't think I could do that with the 19. It's a little bit friendlier to throttle input, that's for sure. is interesting. I didn't think this car to be all that friendly with that regard, but it's surprisingly very friendly to throttle input. The back end does not want to seem to kick out quite as much. Not quite enough confidence to take that flat out. Hard on the brakes. A little bit of second gear wheel spin. Did not have that in the 19 around that corner. Whew, little snap there. Not my best on that corner. And it is actually going to be a little bit slower than the SF19 was. We ran a 124 in the SF19, a 125 there. The SF23, which is still a good bit slower than my previous laps. But also, I just realized I was on racing mediums for that. Oh well. Alright, we're going to move on up to the F-1500TA. This car should already be on softs. Alright, the former king of open wheelers in this game, before the MP4 and the F-3500 came around. I used to put a lot of time into these things back in the day. Alright, I made a little too many errors in that last lap. I'm going to try to dial this one in as well. The brakes on this are definitely just not as good, so I'm having a... Well, obviously it's not going to be as good as old, but this car was designed to be an 80s F1 car, so it's very much 80s brakes. Can't take that corner quite as good as I can in the SFs, but obviously the SFs have a lot more downforce than this does. A lot more sensitive to throttle input. See, it says to go into first gear, but I feel like that is so slow for that corner. But I also know this car, just as you guys can see, like, has some real understeer issues now, which is odd. I don't know if that's the side effects of the physics changes recently or what, but it definitely does not drive as good as I remember it driving. Man, a really slow lap. 128.01. So yeah, these times are all significantly slower than before. If I had to guess, judging by the timing on some of these, this is before they started messing with the physics. I mean, you guys can see just alone, there's a 7 performance point difference between all of these cars. Honestly, there's a big difference in performance points here. The SF23, you know, I can't see the difference here. The SF19, though, I mean, they've all lost performance points compared to where they were before. Obviously, the SF23 is a little bit different because I was on medium tires, but between the two F-1500s, I had just 7 performance points difference. So, I mean, there's definitely been some changes in how these cars are calculated. Alright, final test will be with the F-3500A. Currently, the leader in today's running is the SF19, actually, at a 124.6. This car I've never driven around here, but I've had really good runs with it, so let's see what she does. Right away, the aero is significantly better than the F-1500. And I just love this one the most. But we'll see if it's actually the fastest. There we go. This thing is really good. I love this car. Not a whole lot of confidence in that corner, but it's okay. A 122.5. I think this is probably one of the only cars that has seen an improvement over any of my old times. Not surprising though. The F-3500A is just great. But still not enough to take the top spot in the leaderboard. That is crazy. It's the one time this car has been denied a top spot. And I'm sure with a little bit of persuasion and some skill, I probably could have got that. But I think we can simply say, once again, with the current physics, discounting the SF19's old time from 2023, the F-3500A remains the best car. Obviously, if we take into account times that run today, the SF19 would be in second, followed by the SF23, surprisingly, and the F-1500TA. Now, I imagine with racing softs, probably would have gotten a little bit closer to my original F-1500TA time, but that keeps trend with how things were in the past. Obviously, the SF19 was ahead of the SF23, which was ahead of the GT1500. So, of course, that has been disrupted by the F-3500A's existence, and I feel like, again, with some time, I probably could get closer to that 3-year-old time almost. Or I guess it is technically 2 years old. But again, that was the original physics the game launched with, not with the new physics that are currently in the game. So, not really a time to really account for here. So, yeah, F-3500A is still the king of formula cars. So I'm gonna wrap this one up here. Hope you guys enjoyed this little experiment. I will see you guys next time. Have a good day.